Hello, I'd like to welcome you to the Church Real Estate Market Report for June 2020, COVID-19 edition. My name is John Musica with Church Realty. We are located in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, Texas. We primarily serve churches in Texas, but have served churches in other places of the country over the years, specifically with their real estate needs. And today we bring you this report just to kind of tell you what we see coming out of our quarantine with COVID-19 as churches begin to regather. And so we'd just like to give you this update. We have an article below that you can read in its entirety, but if you don't want to read 1,800 words, we'd like to be able to share the information with you here. The church real estate market is counter-cyclical. Oftentimes, when the real estate market is depressed, it's a great time for nonprofits and churches to buy property. In a hot market where prices are up, it's often harder for nonprofits to purchase and even to compete. So the true impact on the church real estate market during COVID was not immediate. Some churches pushed the pause button on projects. Others who had already started construction projects continued and are doing well. But we've seen many churches that were looking at projects push a pause so they could focus on ministry during the COVID-19 crisis. Churches were immediately impacted in the way of giving. Many churches saw a dip in their giving at the beginning of the crisis, while some saw a drop the first few weeks. They implemented online giving and they have recovered from 90 to 95% of their regular giving. Other churches reported that they had emotional giving in the months of March and April and that it stayed strong, but that May brought a reduction in their giving. So the full impact of how this will affect each church will be unique to each church, but we won't know the full effect, I don't think, until people start to return to work and churches start meeting on a regular basis. Churches will continue to meet online, but as they start to meet in person again, they will start to know what the new normal looks like. As far as the reopening of churches and reopening of our economy, church leaders will need to begin to make decisions about their facilities. As I mentioned before, construction projects that were in progress have continued, but some that had not started, maybe they were slated for this fall, have maybe pushed them out to 2021, whether it's the first part of 2021 or even further out. That is the case in many situations. We do project that the third quarter is going to be a recovery quarter, and that it will take until the third quarter of 2020 for churches to fully resume church activities in their new normal. Right now, churches that have started gathering have seen anywhere from 15 to 50% attendance and participation. But they're not fully offering all of their ministries. So depending on what part of the country you're in, what state you're in, what the size of your church, the reopening and full regathering will take some time to fully reach its full opening. But the coming months will require church leaders to make strategic ministry decisions that may affect their real estate. We're going to break down some of how the church real estate market affects different size churches. So I wanted to start first with church plants. So far, I have good news to report that most church planters that were meeting in public spaces like public schools, theaters, recreational centers, most of them do plan to reopen in those spaces. School districts have started to communicate and say, yes, you can come back in. Some of the theaters are not open yet, performance halls that are not open yet. They're not sure when they're going to be able to meet there, but we do believe that most of those spaces will reopen. Post-COVID-19, we do expect more church plants and multi-site churches will begin to explore 7-day-a-week lease options. Securing lease space will take a specific strategy to satisfy landlords' requests, to figure out how to fund just the conversion of a space. So church plants that are saying, hey, we don't want to be in a 1 day a week space. We want to secure our own 7 day a week space. It will take them a little bit of time. Before COVID-19, the lease market here, especially in Texas, had become a landlord's market. And we're hoping that there will be more opportunities as maybe some office uses maybe don't have as much demand. Retail space has filled up prior to COVID-19, but there will be some restaurant spaces available in other commercial spaces that may not come back after this. So as a church plant, you want to be prepared. We can help you with that, but approaching a landlord and telling your story and qualifying for that lease is unique, and we do expect that more people will choose to pursue that. Like church plants, many multi-site churches start in lease spaces. And whether it's a full lease space or maybe they meet in a theater or public school, but maybe they have a 7 day a week ministry center close to their temporary space. We do think that will be something that if you don't already have that, you may want to consider as if there is a second relapse of COVID-19, that ministry center can be used for filming services and offering food distribution and all sorts of different things that can minister to a community. Conversion buildings may come available in the coming months. We do believe there will be opportunities. So it would be wise for a church leadership team to start looking at your multi-site locations and identify which campuses may need to purchase a facility. Preparing ahead of time, understanding where you have needs, will help you as you identify which projects to pursue. The next category is megachurches and gigachurches. These churches average over 1,000 or 2,000 people per week. And so just as a professional sports team is having to consider how they let people back in their facilities, these churches are having to figure out how they handle thousands of worshipers in a sanctuary. I don't expect that these large churches will try to relocate, but they may change how they operate. They may offer more services. They may use more venues in their space. For example, some people may meet in a chapel or a student ministry building or a sanctuary, but you may be using the space differently. Many of these churches may receive phone calls from smaller churches that are wondering if there's a merger opportunity. And so whether you're a multi-site church or a mega church, some of these questions will come across your table. And again, you don't want to pursue a merger if it doesn't fit with your mission and vision, if it doesn't fit with your current strategy. And so while you may receive some phone calls about that, it will be on a case-by-case basis on if that is a good solution for your church. Small to average size churches in America, these churches will be affected by the changes. A lot of these churches, maybe they did not do online giving prior to COVID-19. You know, the average size church in America is about 89 members, and a small church, you know, we have a research study done by Lifeway Research. In 2019, 57% of churches had less than 100 people, and 21% had less than 50 people. So there are many churches that are under 100 members. And so these churches, as they come back, especially if they're older populations, they may have seen people move. They may have seen people who are struggling to come back. We do think that for some folks, they may take up to a year to come back. In other situations, we've heard stories of people saying that they're taking this opportunity to move from one state to another to be closer to family. And so some of these situations may result in some churches that have buildings that no longer fit their ministry needs. So some of these small to average sized churches may choose to be a legacy church. And when I say legacy church, they may choose to partner with a church plant and have the church plant come in and use that facility. Maybe it's a merger. Maybe it's a sale. They may choose to sell the facility and take the funds and sponsor denominational church plants in their community. We've also seen churches like this who as they've maybe come to the end of a ministry cycle for that church, that they've put the money into nonprofits and ministry uses that are very important, near and dear to that congregation and their mission and vision. Real estate will likely be a part of their decision process, and a lot of times in these times, these decisions are both emotional decisions and missional decisions that the church will need to navigate. During the COVID-19 crisis, this was the first time that the church doors were actually closed. But I want to encourage you that ministry did not stop. In fact, there was much to do during the crisis, whether it was people that needed food, whether it was personal contact, phone calls, ministry that happened. We heard many stories during the crisis of the church being the church. The church is the people. The church is not a building. So when we do church real estate projects, the church is the people. The buildings are just tools. So ministry opportunities increased, and the church responded to that across the board. Coming out of this, we don't know what it will be like for each church. Every church will see some impact of members that will join them, and some members that may move or relocate, or just they may not be willing to come back. They may stay as online members. Each church will have to navigate this new normal by exploring options and seeking solutions that are in line with their mission and their budget. And so this report is going to be done each month moving forward to share what we see in the church real estate market. If your church is evaluating decisions, we would love to answer any questions for you and come alongside you as you consider the options for you in the days ahead. Thanks for your time and listening. If you'd like more information, we have the full article, the full report is below. And so you can click on the link, get that report. And then if you have any questions specific to your situation, we would love to chat with you. Y'all have a great day.